and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast, brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Jim Finch, and I'm going to be your host tonight from two stories about Jose Chille DeCastro, a story on Craig Hendry, a story on Turtleboy, and a look at the GoFundMe market. We're apparently world famous now, as we've been mentioned on Jose Chille DeCastro's comment section as a troll channel. Of course, the poster missed the point that DeCastro absolutely missed his goals for his fundraising campaigns, but oh well, advertising is advertising, and we're good to go. It's a glorious morning here in Pennsylvania. Taco Bell is calling, but will I give in, or will I stay on the straight and narrow and do the do and take it into the new day? On that note, let's jump into the news. Do the do, tacos, tacos, do the do. GoFundMe, Press with Rancor takes the day. Garrett Press with Rancor Van Net's ongoing support Press with Rancor's legal aid fund won Tuesday with a $120 victory, roaring back to life with two new donations from two regular contributors to Jose Chille DeCastro's GoFundMe campaigns. Rancor's impressive haul comes on the day that he is set to stand trial for various felony charges out of Michigan involving obstructing an officer, failing to obey lawful commands, and interfering in a traffic stop. DeCastro had been hyping donations to this fund recently, as he owes approximately $24,000 to Rancor's lawyer, as DeCastro signed a contract to take on sole responsibility for Rancor's defense earlier this year. The fund has pretty much been dormant the entire year, as DeCastro ignored it due to his own continuing legal battles that have taken his attention elsewhere. With 599,000 subscribers, though, questions have been made as to DeCastro's ability to fundraise, as continued pitches to his audience promoting the campaign have fallen on increasingly deaf ears. Standing at a 9% completion rate, and with the two donations made the night before Rancor's criminal trial, it's odd that more of DeCastro's supporters have not pitched in. The case has been described by DeCastro as the most important case of the year for his new media organization, yet the donations do not reflect that, as there's little interest in helping DeCastro at this point in time. Also, despite DeCastro's increasingly dire debt situation, the donors have continued to ignore his own ongoing campaigns. No new donations were recorded to his own campaigns, as he faced an even heavier financial burden as he was hit with nearly $5,000 in new sanctions in his lawsuit against Kate Peter, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Michael Blue Bacon Peratini on Tuesday. Our own ongoing expenses campaign is outpacing all of his campaigns with regular Hate Watch donations. This is unbelievable, as we have 428 subscribers, down one since Tuesday, and we get under 100 views per video we put out, and we're still regularly beating DeCastro and all the other auditors in money intake. This is not normal. We're currently a losing investment, a blip on the YouTube landscape, but time after time we come through where DeCastro either won't go or fails to go, as he can't find a single donor to any of his campaigns in his army of 599,000 subscribers. On that note, if you'd like to join our hate watcher making me watch horrible auditing videos of Regan Benson, Craig Hendry, and Jose DeCastro at 3 a.m. each day, and also forcing me to continue to write this column each morning, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Craig Hendry victorious? YouTuber Craig Hendry returned from an extended family vacation to address his fans with news that one of his many criminal cases in Indiana had been recently dismissed. According to mycase.ind.gov, Hendry had been arrested in June of 2022 and charged in July of 2022 with intimidation, threat to commit a forcible felony, criminal trespass, and provocation. Hendry claims that he and fellow defendant Tyler Pierce were offered diversion programs where their charges would be dropped at the end of the program and their record cleared. Pierce completed his program and had his charges dropped. Hendry, however, claims he completed his diversion program, and the prosecution decided to continue with the charges against him. An issue with his lawyer followed, where, according to Hendry, the lawyer wanted more money to represent him, and Hendry ended up representing himself pro se for the rest of the case. Hendry claims that he argued that he completed the diversion program, so the charges should have been dropped as agreed. The prosecution refused to drop the charges, and again, according to Hendry, the prosecution backed down when he demanded a jury trial and forced the hand of the prosecution. From the record, the charges were quietly dropped last week. It is unclear if this case is related to the federal civil lawsuit Hendry and Pierce filed against Lake County, Indiana in January of this year. In that case, the plaintiffs contend that they were wrongfully arrested and subjected to the deprivation of their constitutional rights, battery, emotional distress, and false imprisonment. They were seeking compensation for the physical injuries, compensatory damages for deprivation of civil rights, punitive damage against the officer involved in the arrest, and attorney's fees. The case recently was reassigned to a magistrate judge after the previous magistrate judge was removed for the case for unknown reasons. In more Hendry news, he attempted to solicit his fans to show up in force for his next court hearing in Bloomfield, Indiana at 8:30 p.m. on August 1st. Hendry has asked that if you intend to show up to support him, to email him first. He did not disclose the nature of the hearing. DeCastro ordered to pay Blue Bacon $4,560. Jose Chille DeCastro suffered another huge financial loss on Tuesday as Judge H.J. Ford III ordered him to pay sanctions of $4,560 to Michael Blue Bacon Paratini in his ongoing California Superior Court lawsuit against Kate Peter, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Paratini. DeCastro filed suit against the group of defendants in early 2023 as essentially a refiling of his defamation and harassment lawsuit against Kate Peter and another set of defendants that he had amended away from harassment and defamation to focus on federal copyright claims against Peter, YouTube, Google, and others. At the time, DeCastro claimed that the lawsuit made more sense to file in California as he resided there, and he claimed that all the actions involved in the case, despite evidence otherwise, all occurred within the confines of the state. DeCastro failed to serve Team Skeptic and was ruled to have failed to have properly served Daniel Clement with his amended complaint. Kate Peter was apparently properly served, and the clerk of courts ruled that she was in default for not replying to the case, though the judge never issued a default judgment against her, leaving Paratini the only defendant to accept service in the case. The defendants are alleged to have run a vast criminal organization with the sole intent to harass and defame DeCastro in 2022. Despite DeCastro's claims that all of the activities occurred in California, his allegations against the defendants involve incidents in Colorado and Massachusetts and charge all the defendants equally. DeCastro has yet to provide any evidence of either the criminal conspiracy or proof of involvement of any of the defendants. DeCastro has stated on his YouTube live streams that he was out to financially crush the defendants as he was working pro se in the case, and that all the defendants would be financially damaged as they would need to hire attorneys. He said he'd file the case as many times as possible in as many jurisdictions as possible until either he or defendant Peter died. It is unclear if his opinion has changed now that he has hired an attorney to represent him in the case. Tuesday's sanctions apparently came from DeCastro refusing to do a scheduled deposition, as he claimed that it was too far away from his new residence in Las Vegas to reasonably travel to do the deposition. DeCastro, at the time, had not informed the court nor the defense of his move to Las Vegas, as his official address remained the California home of one of his financial backers. It is unclear if these are new sanctions, as Paratini had filed multiple requests for sanctions against DeCastro on the January date indicated by the court, and one of those requests had been previously granted, also in the sum of $4,560. DeCastro's motion to reconsider sanctions granted to Paratini for $1,635 earlier in the year was denied by the court on Tuesday, as it was found to have been improperly filed. Judge Ford ordered DeCastro to sit for a deposition on August 21, 2024. No deposition of any of the defendants has been ordered at this time. Turtleboy claims win over Peter. Turtleboy Aiden Kearney took to Twitter Tuesday morning to declare that he was successful in having his protective order against Kate Peter extended from 10 yards to 100 yards, though he was apparently unsuccessful in having Peter locked away for violation of said protective order. Kearney displayed a copy of the original protective order with new zeros added to indicate what he says was an ordered change. There are no court records in either of Peter's active cases in Massachusetts' electronic filing system to indicate a change in the status of the protective order at this time. Nor is there anything to reflect that yesterday's status hearing was anything more than that. Kearney had claimed that it was going to feature a hearing where Peter's bond would be revoked, later stating that it did not happen due to Peter's attorney having COVID. Again, there's nothing in Peter's case file for either her existing harassment charges or her violation of her protective order charges, indicating that a bond revocation would be part of the hearing. Yesterday's hearings for the harassment charges indicated that the pretrial hearing was rescheduled for August 29, 2024, and nothing more. Peter has made no public statements on the matter to verify or deny Kearney's claims. In more Kearney news, the Journalism Jesus spoke positively about Massachusetts State Representative Mike Connolly in a tweet on Tuesday. Connolly, a Democrat, had been the subject of conservative Kearney's ire for some time now for his differing viewpoints. That may change as Connolly posted a tweet in support of the Free Karen Read movement, urging the dropping of charges against the accused murderer. Kearney said that while he opposed everything Connolly stood for politically, he agreed with him on one thing: Karen Read should be freed. We'll update Kearney's claims about Peter in a future article if they can be verified. DeCastro announces book project. Tuesday night's live stream by Chille DeCastro featured an extensive interview with Auditor Carolina in Fort Worth and a surprise announcement that DeCastro would soon be publishing his new book, Segregation Over Incarceration. DeCastro announced that he had 400 pages written of the manuscript, which features his ideas on such things as delaying arrest in nearly all cases and providing segregated apartments for prisoners instead of jail cells. No publishing partner or release schedule was announced, but DeCastro promised that the book will be available soon to his followers as he was nearly done writing the manuscript. DeCastro's uneventful interview with Carolina in Fort Worth saw him express his ideas on the limitations women should face in the workforce. He repeated his ideas that women should not be in any roles that would allow them to dominate men physically. He and Caroline differed in their view of police officers, however. Carolina has called for an all-out ban on female police officers. She feels they are worthless and cannot compete physically to do the job properly. DeCastro agreed with her on the physical limitations of women, but said that they could be police and receptionist roles and desk jobs and jobs that wouldn't require them to perform arrests or dominate men. Addressing Carolina's recent incident, which saw her injured in an altercation with a Fort Worth, Texas police officer, DeCastro said that Carolina retained her beauty now that she was healing, then went into a full pitch for his trifold and 5A cop card, indicating that the incident may not have happened if she had his products. Carolina spent a good deal of time politely declining his products, making excuses for not using them, and offered the excuse that she was too disorganized and that she would never find them when she needed them. She eventually agreed to make laminated copies of her driver's license and proof of insurance to put in her driver's side sunscreen. She joked about taping one together, which clearly appalled DeCastro, who insisted that she have one properly laminated at an office supply store. DeCastro discouraged Carolina from suing the officer involved in the incident, as he said lawsuits do not work. He claimed that the only way to effect change would be to put him in office as governor of a state, and that he would soon be releasing a series of videos featuring his thoughts on laws and what he could change when he is in office. DeCastro also announced the return of his Hero of Ironton web series on his American Patriot channel. As Carolina brought up James Freeman, DeCastro claimed he and Freeman spoke multiple times via phone while DeCastro was incarcerated, and they made peace with one another. He says Freeman pledged to work with him in unity as they move forward. He then again pitched the idea of his journalist union, where auditors would now be renamed as independent journalists, who would join his union and pay him dues in exchange for funding and the protection that a large collective of journalists could provide. DeCastro did not address the sanctions imposed on him by the judge in his case against Kate Peter, Daniel Clement, Team Skeptic, or Michael Bluebacon Paratini earlier in the day. The YouTuber had been ordered to pay $4,560 in compensation to Paratini and had his motion to dismiss previous sanctions denied on Tuesday. This is a developing story. Well, how do you like dem apples? DeCastro tried to awkwardly flirt with Carolina while forcing his products on her, but she held her ground and said no thank you in the politest blow-off in history. Turtleboy and his sketchy documents. Go over to ReallyCoolSite.org to see the actual document. We're waiting for confirmation as to its authenticity, but what do you know? Turtleboy never lies, does he? We're producing this early in the day because we have an office redesign and some rewiring of our computers set for tonight. Will we live? Will we die? Will Rose take over this broadcast and steal your immortal souls? Tune in tomorrow to see the fate of the entire world. On that note, we're out of here. Have a wonderful morning.